this is amazing, right? So now instead of just like talking with somebody about an IUL, now I can, one, learn how to ask for a referral, like plant the seeds for asking for a referral right away. But then two, introduce the client to the other things that I do, like debt elimination, right? And putting that retirement conversation, in there.
Hello, everybody. This is Ryan Anderson, and welcome back to Annuity Fundamentals. Our guest today is basically the illustrious, the famous, the world-renowned, well, at least in the Boise metro area, Tyson Louie. He's been in the business for about 3 years. Your gateway solution, the thing you talk to folks most about, is indexed universal life. Before that, you're kind of made a major industry shift. You went from food and beverage, bartending, that kind of a thing, into the insurance world. And what made you decide to make that change?
Oh, wow. Oh, well, thanks for having me, Ryan. Completely flattered to be here with you. Um, the biggest catalyst was really about COVID. So my wife and I, we were trying to buy a home. COVID was going on, and we just got priced out of the market in the Boise area. And so it was at that point that I realized that I needed to make a lot more money. At that point, my wife was finishing up her master's program, and so just like, what am I going to do? So I started looking around for some sort of sales opportunity. I figured that I would do it part time while I still kept on managing a restaurant, and I wanted to do remote work. I just thought it would be nice to, sit at my computer and call people, do sales, something like that. So I started doing some trainings, and that put me in contact with a few fellas, and that led to life insurance.
Well, fantastic. So now I mentioned that your focus is indexed universal life. Kind of go through your sales process for us. I want them to see where you're at so they can see themselves in this. As far as where did you get your leads? What kind of are you in the home? Are you remote only? Kind of go through your business model and your and how you actually find folks.
Yeah, obviously, warm markets in there, but most of the time I'm reaching out to people across the nation. I'm contracted in about 18 states, I think. Um, and and so I purchase leads from a marketing company that advertises on Facebook and Instagram, and obviously trying to build up my book of business and generate referrals. I'd love to get to a point where I don't have to buy any leads, and I absolutely hate calling people. I'm with Kylie on that one. I hate cold calling people out of the blue and being like, "Hey, do you want to have a conversation about life insurance?" No one wants to have a conversation about life insurance. It's like always going to be the thing that you like you kick down the road a bit. So, um, trying to work with this company that provides basically real-time leads. Um, and so, you just get on the phone and get a hold of them as quickly as possible. Um, from there, I'm trying to, whether it be over phone or over Zoom, trying to explain how the IUL works. It can seem really complicated, but in essence, it's really simple. It's permanent life insurance with a cash value component. There's security in there where you don't have to worry about losing money in the market, and as long as you can fund it properly and the agent designs the policy right, it can be a really great tool that you could use for, retirement, real estate. You could 529s. You could replace 529s for your kiddos with an IUL. It's really versatile. So, big fan of that product.
Well, now let's go ahead and talk about this. Now, the way I met you is you actually signed up and you attended one of the Annuity Fundamentals 6-week long annuity classes, one of our key 3 classes, where we focus on the purpose of that class is really straightforward. We take existing agents that are licensed, that are out there selling, whether it's Medicare, whether it's life, final expense, mortgage protection, PNC, doesn't matter. And then we try to help move you into some of the larger cases, some of the more like annuities, some of the more large, complex index universal life kinds of things, by teaching you how to properly introduce yourself, how to do a proper fact finder, to identify an opportunity, and then to get the appointment for the opportunity. That's it. Just those key three things, and kind of move from there. So 2 questions for you. We met in our class the first time, and it was funny that I'm also in the Boise area. And when he said, yeah, I'm in Boise, I was like, dude, where? I mean, we're literally across town. You've been to my house. We've gone out. We had lunch together. So, I mean, that's where we met each other. So we didn't have a history before that. So how did you hear about Annuity Fundamentals is the first question, and then kind of go through your experience in the class, if you could.
Yeah, of course. So I work with a team called United Insurance Advisors Financial Group. They're out of Louisiana. And so I've never really had like a in-person mentor or anybody to really show me or guide me. But the thing about our group is that there's agents spread out Seattle all the way over to Florida. And I believe one of them is in your class right now, Tina Wallers. Shout out to Tina. And so she has, as our organization was moving into annuities, it was about a year ago, but it was last summer. They were starting to look at doing seminars, trying to get more into that annuity business. And Tina was a big proponent of using Aegis and the training that Aegis had available. And I think at the time, I thought it was just going to be like a sign up and get access to some content that I could just absorb at my own discretion. But what it ended up being was your class, and so that was pretty awesome. And yeah, I think she started a week or so after me, so she's in it now. But that was how I found Annuity Fundamentals, and then the experience getting into it with you guys was, I mean, it was so simple but so brilliant in its simplicity. You talk a lot about it just being a duplicatable system, right? Systems are the big thing, and so that was immediately recognizable. From day one, you guys were just going to help us craft our language and develop a system that when we go and talk to people, we're not just pigeonholing ourselves into one product, right? And so I was just like, oh yeah, this is amazing, right? So now instead of just like talking with somebody about an IUL, now I can, one, learn how to ask for a referral, like plant the seeds for asking for a referral right away. But then two, introduce the client to the other things that I do, like debt elimination, right? And putting that retirement conversation, in there. And so that opens the client's mind to, oh, he's more than just IUL. And, that can be a huge benefit for generating referral business. Or also if that client just has any other kind of issue, you're going to be the person that they go to because you do more than just IULs. In their mind, they think of you as bigger than that now. And so I just tried to start implementing it right away.
Yeah, the thing about it is we swerved into is something that we see. It's how we start our first class. As we go through, and we'll have anywhere from 5 to 15 people in one of the classes. Try to keep them small. And one of the first things we do is we have everybody introduce themselves, where they're from, what their gateway solution is, and I pick somebody that I've never met before, and I say, all right, I'm your ideal client. We're sitting down. Introduce yourself to me. And if it's a Medicare agent, historically, the conversation goes something like this. Well, Ryan, you were referred to me by your buddy John over here or whatever, or you answered a mailer. And so I've been in the business for X amount of years, and I'm your Medicare person. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to help you figure out which one of these plans is best for you. It's constantly changing. It's ever confusing. And we're going to figure out what plan's most ideal for you. If you need a network, your drugs, is it a MedSup, is it an Advantage plan? And they kind of go down that path. And that's generally how the introduction works. But what they do at that time is that they paint themselves, just like you said, as the Medicare agent inadvertently. And by doing so, they eliminate themselves from being the financial advisor, from being the debt elimination person, from being the life person, from doing that, simply by how they introduce themselves. In fact, I don't know if you were in there, but here it was a couple of weeks ago. I think there was one, and we had somebody in the class and we want them to be humble and teachable. That's one of the requirements here. And we
Yeah.
said, hey, you're doing the intro wrong. It's like, no, I'm not. I've closed thousands of Medicare cases like this. And it's like, you
Yeah.
have. And you're going to continue to close thousands of Medicare cases, but you're not going to close any annuities or any large life with that intro. You're doing it here. And were you in? Was that your class?
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. You had some really choice feedback on that.
That was about as fiery as I think it's ever gotten. But it was one of those things. It's like, hey, if you're not here to learn, let's show you here. But you're doing what you're doing and keep doing it. You're going to get some great. What do you call it? Some great Medicare stuff. Now,
Yeah.
you actually went through and took it and implemented our stuff. And you went through and you
Yeah.
implemented the fact finder, and you've actually come to some of our live trainings since then. The fact that I hold them in your backyard is really convenient. But kind
So
of
nice.
go through your experience with that.
Yeah, so you had to start working on that company intro right away. And so I just saw the opportunity to tweak it a little bit. And I did exactly what you said. I took it, I tried to make it my own a little bit, and I recorded myself, and I would listen to that over and over and over again. The first couple of weeks, I was pretty much all I listened to was myself, doing that company intro. And but what I also did is I just changed the wording a little bit so that when I was talking to my IUL clients, typically that conversation would have been like, "Hey, ring ring, hello. Hey, Tyson Louie here. How you doing? I saw that you were just looking into index universal life insurance. I'm a specialist. I'm here to help you out. What questions can I answer for you?" And then just go down that path. And hopefully it just becomes like a natural conversation. But at that point, the way that I would approach it is I would still kind of stick with that, like that intro, and ask them, what made you click on that ad? And then after they said that first answer, then I would be like, well, let me reintroduce myself. My name's Tyson Louie, and then go into a really kind of abbreviated company intro. But I would
Uh-huh.
highlight, I would mention like, hey, I work with primarily people who are concerned about their financial future. Tends to be, some older folks, 40s, 50s, but I do have a lot of younger clients too, because my clients refer their friends and family to me. And then, just touch on a couple of those other things that I do in my business and ways that I'm able to help people out, and then wrap it up. And at that point, that company intro, I feel like I went from being just seen as the guy on the phone trying to sell me an IUL
Hmm.
to actually being a financial professional that this person could would want to stop and listen to. Now, and so they would start saying things differently, like, well, what would you advise? What would you say I should do, kind of deal. And so it just kind of changed a little bit, where I felt like I was being taken more seriously, and I got, a bit more confident about talking with people in that way, and, giving them advice. So I was able to do that company intro. I had seven appointments over the course of those first couple weeks, and I closed all seven of them, like on that first phone call with a client. Typically, it's either a 2 or a 3 call close, maybe sitting around like 50% close rate. So I saw immediate benefit from implementing it, and then I've actually gotten 3 referrals now from those clients, uh, and so I've done more business because of that language.
Okay, so
Oh,
by
and
implementing, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I did my first annuity with the whole fact finder and tee up. I did
Uh huh.
that a couple Wednesdays ago for the first time, and got a second appointment. So yeah, the system, it works. And it's duplicatable. So as soon as you can start using it, you should.
All right, so I just want to kind of recap what you just said. So you didn't change your gateway solution. We just simply gave you some different language to use it. You saw an immediate uptick in your close rate shorter. You've got an immediate uptick in referrals, and you've done exactly what our class says. You've gotten into some of the annuity space. Now, one of the reasons I asked you to be on the podcast when we were talking is because it's not been, oh, I've been doing this for 6 months, a year. It's been, okay, I did this a month ago. This is the changes I've gotten in my first month. Now, let's talk about that annuity thing. And I wasn't aware that you'd gotten that annuity, so congratulations on that. Did you do that on your own, or did you have one of our folks come with you? Kind of walk through how you found the annuity and where you're at with that.
Yeah, so I think it was week 5, week 4 or 5, and you weren't on that training, but Angelique hopped on, and
Mm-hmm.
she kind of just went through, some of the, she went over like a North American annuity illustration,
Illustration.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and then afterwards she just said, "Hey, reach out. Here's my name, number, email. Reach out if you want any help." Right. So I reached out to her and just said, "Hey, I got this guy." So this guy, he was a fellow that I got in touch with. Basically, nobody in my organization that was doing that new annuity program was
Mm-hmm.
contracted in Montana, and they're like, "Oh, well, Tyson's up in Idaho. Let's see if he wants to get contracted in Montana and take this lead." So I did. So I called up the guy, and we had our first introduction. Anyways, he ghosted me on the second appointment. I don't even know if I ran the first appointment right. I probably would have ghosted me too. So, uh, but I through starting the class with you guys, there was a certain amount of confidence that I was feeling, and so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna reach back out to that guy. It's been long enough. Let's just see where it's at. So I called him up, and I asked him if he'd gone forward with anybody else, if he had decided to do anything, and he said no, he hadn't. He was still a couple years from retirement, and so maybe he felt like he had some time to wait around. But he was down to meet with me. So this time I went into that appointment with the language that that you and Kylie taught us, and I had the fact finder all ready to go, and I knew how to do the tee up, and so yeah, I mean it went great. Like the guy responded really well to me and my questioning, whereas I might have been a bit more timid asking such personal financial questions of somebody. This
Mm-hmm.
time around, I was like, this is the way it's done. This is the process. This guy's looking to me for help, and he's going to ultimately determine if he wants to work with me or not. But he's here right now, like taking this seriously. So yeah, set that, and then went back to Angelique and asked her if she would help me run the second appointment with him. Um, he's a big hunter, and Angelique's a big hunter, so I think that
Oh,
there's
that's
a
match
nice
made in
in
heaven
there.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you run the second appointment yet, or is that still on the calendar?
No, so he, not to get too personal about him, but he's got a huge, like a really busy June with work,
Yeah.
doing 610s
Yeah.
all month. So yeah. So he asked if we could do it in July, so we
Oh,
got it set
fantastic. Well,
for.
keep us posted. I'd like to know how that goes. So I just
Yeah.
want to kind of focus on a couple different things here. The whole thing about the training is we tell people we just want to move you 1 or 2 degrees. I don't want to go through and change your entire approach to things. That most people have got a system. And you illustrated that. When you call somebody, you knew the steps, the process you want to take. Now, this could be a formal system that's written out, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, which is the kind of thing I really like. That way we can see, are we following it? And if we have
Yeah.
problems, what step do we need to tweak versus I just kind of let it happen. And there's some middle ground there, that there is a level of instinct and that you need to have in these things to really, that the really great salespeople have. But one of the things that I've found is that the agents that ask a lot of questions and agents that go through and really take the time to listen to the questions do well. And
Yeah.
going through and having as far as one of the things we have you do is identify your ideal client. We have you identify what are your sales process. And if you don't have one, let's figure out what there is, and then you kind of write it out. And the thing about it is that most agents do have a script that they use, and a lot of them, and they may not have had it handed to them and said, okay, memorize this, but it's okay. Over the time I found out these are the things I say in this order, and if you do it repeatedly, that becomes a script, whether you want to
Yeah.
admit it or not. That's what it is. And so we're trying to help agents go through and do that. So now, one of the things here about this is that we've given you some other tools. Have you had a chance to use some of the documents, Fact Finder, Value Finder, any of those? Have you had any chance to kind of get into that with any of your appointments?
Yeah, so that annuity appointment, I had the fact finder right there. Just basically walked it down line by line.
Hmm.
I felt a little lucky when the gentleman I got on the phone. Um, I had invited him to do a Zoom, and he actually canceled the Zoom appointment like 2 minutes before we were supposed to get on the Zoom.
Oh
And
no.
I was like, I'm just gonna give him a call anyways. And so I called him, and he answered. Um, and so I'm glad that I just didn't like take him canceling the Zoom as just like, oh, I guess he doesn't want to meet. I'm not going to give him a call now. Called
Yeah.
him anyways, but he was he said he didn't want to get on camera. Wasn't ready to. He just got done with work. I was like,
Okay.
okay. So I was lucky enough to have like my whole script, on my screen, and he couldn't see me kind of reading it, going line by line. But no, I was able to use that. As far as the IULs, I just there's certain kinds of questions um, that you ask when you're trying to do a life insurance
Uh huh.
deal, right? Because annuities, you don't have to qualify in the same way from a health perspective as you do for IUL. So I just changed that finder language up a little bit to be more specific to a life insurance product. But I mean, it's like you said, it's the same process. It's the same system, just a few different questions. You know.
Yeah, and you just swerved into something that I think a lot of newer agents have when they're trying to transition from life or Medicare or PNC into the financial space with the annuities. That a lot of the problems we have to overcome and a lot of the retraining we have to do is habits that they've got perceived problems that they're going to say. They've also got perceived, prejudices or biases that we have to overcome. I'm not comfortable talking to people about money. You don't ask people how much they make. You don't, how much do you have in your savings accounts? None of my business. And actually, it is. All of those things are your business. And I had this one agent I worked with for years. She was amazing, one of the best Medicare agents I'd ever worked with, but she could never get over the mental hurdle of I can talk to people about money comfortably and confidently. And so when she did talk to them about it, she was always nervous and they could sense that from her. So as a result, she never really broke into the large case space like other
Hmm.
people in that office did, simply because she had some internal biases that she was unable to overcome. And so
Yeah.
going through and realizing, hey, our goal is to leave people better than we found them. Our goal is to help them in areas that they don't even know they need help in. But by doing that, I need to get some data. I need to get some information so that I can help these guys make the best decision possible. And the class really helps clarify that for us. But
Yeah.
any final comments or thoughts here before we go ahead and call it a day?
Well, I mean, I would just say just kind of what you're talking about. Like those biases that we have or those apprehensions that we have. If there's one lesson that I've had to learn and relearn over and over again, it is to be more assertive. And the story that I'll tell real quick is a really painful way to learn this lesson. But as I've been progressing in through this my career and becoming more comfortable with the advanced markets, first IULs, before that it was debt elimination, now on to annuities. So
Hmm.
so my mom, she's getting approaching retirement age. So I went to her and I'm like, hey mom, can we sit down and have a meeting? I want to talk to you about your retirement, right? I'm feeling confident, like I can talk to her about annuities now, and I want to help her with setting something up for her future. And know she's been working hard her whole life, and I just wanted to make sure that she was taken care of. And so I go to her house and we sit down, kitchen table style, and I'm like, okay, mom. So here's asking her some questions, and here's where I want to go with this. And she's like, well, Ty, I already made some of these moves. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, back in July, I met with this financial advisor from New York Life, and she helped me move um, $250,000 into a variable annuity, $200,000 into a guaranteed lifetime income annuity, and plans to move the other $300,000 that she had in her 401k into some other product when she actually did retire. And I'm like, Mom, what the heck do you think that I'm doing over here? And just was just like, oh man. So, bless her heart. The biggest factor is that I know that my mom is set. She did a really good job of building that up for herself, and she deserves every bit of it, right? But in terms of me being assertive, if I would have just been like a couple months earlier to having that conversation with her, I would have been the one that would have been able to help her out. You know,
Yeah.
so go out there
The
and
thing,
talk to people. Be assertive.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And not only that, but as far as that, at that point in time, she probably thought you as a life insurance guy. She hadn't thought of
exactly.
you as by that same intro. Your family doesn't even know. I ask we whenever we have company come over and they say, "So, hey, Brian, what kind of work do you do?" And my wife looks at him. She's like, "Yeah, Ryan, what kind of work do you do?" Because I frankly don't know. And she knows that I come to the office and I work majority of my time from home, and so she knows I'm out here 10 or 12 hours a day, and I'm on the phone and on doing this kind of stuff a lot. But if she had to sit down and really draw out my job description, I don't think she could do it. But so, which is an error on my part. But so make sure our family knows what we do. But Tyson, thank you so much for joining us today. This episode was brought to us by leadshop.org. They're the one-stop shop for filling your seminars, your events, those kinds of things. It's who we use exclusively. And so if you are out there and you want to have an event, you want to get into seminar marketing, whether those are dinner seminars, community educational events, whatever it is, Lead Shop Marketing is your one-stop shop for all of that stuff. And it's leadshop.org. And go ahead and mention us when you get there. And they've got some discount codes that they can give you as well. But Tyson, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And as always,
Thanks for having me.
subscribe, like below, and do all those things. And we'll talk to you in the future.